everyone, this is Jared from Independent Homestead, and today I'm going to have a video for you on my wood sheds and how I built them and why. So when I first was building wood sheds, I was trying to figure out what would be the best way to do it. How would I get good ventilation while still having good coverage, try and keep out the mice and animals and stuff like that. And I saw there wasn't a lot of good videos out there. If they were very half done, or the sheds just didn't seem like they would hold up very well. So I decided to just go out and build my own, and we'll see how they turn out. But first, gotta remember this. I got that new intro, and this will be my second time using it. So the first time it took 3 clicks. Hopefully this time it'll only take 1. So cross your fingers. So in case you guys missed it, it is snowing now in northern Illinois, and 2 days ago it was 50 degrees out and we were out in sweatshirts shooting guns. Welcome to Illinois. Today, or this morning, last night, we got a rain/ice into snow slurry of a storm. And I was working, so I got home this morning and we got snow. So if you guys can check around here, this was all nice grass yesterday. Thank you, Illinois. So I figured today would be a good day to do the wood sheds, and since it's on the topic of me burning wood now to stay warm again, I figured it would be a good time to do it. So I'm standing inside one of my wood sheds. This is actually the first shed that I built. I do have 2 of them because I found the demand, and I might end up building a 3rd one, of having reserve wood in case for one summer I don't get to cutting wood or splitting wood, or for some reason something happens to where I don't have time to, or whatever. I figured it'd be nice to have a reserve just in case. So I'll back up here. This is the first one that I built. And there's not a whole lot to it. It's made with treated 2x6 and treated 4x4s. Now this first one here I built with screws. You can see that there. So I had to pre-drill every hole so that the screws didn't split the wood. And then up top and here I used the brackets to hold the 2x6s up top, and then I used OSB board, and then I had some metal tin that was on the property from when I bought the place, so I used that to sheet the roof. Now down here, these are also all treated 2x6, and I have, if you can tell, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cross beams going across the bottom for support. This thing is strong enough I could probably park my truck on it. It is very strong, made to be, because it's going to hold a lot of weight. Wood is not very light. And so this is the first one I built. This is all wood that I got this last summer that I had time to cut, but I didn't have time to split. And then here's the second wood shed. This one's a little bigger, from seeing the need of making it bigger for having more space for wood. The first year I wasn't quite sure how much wood I was going to go through, so I decided to just do the one and see how it went. I'll walk around over here. So what I've done is this stuff here is next in line to split. So this would be the driest, and it wraps around back here. So that stuff's the next stuff to split. Up there you can see I have metal sheeting, and I used insulated screws to try and keep the water from going inside the shed. And then what I did, you can see it here, I alternated the 2x6s. So hopefully wind can still get through it, but if you look inside, that wood is completely dry. So the idea is that wind and breeze can get through it while keeping the weather for the most part out of it. Now this is the way I wanted it to be built, but by having a wood stack behind it, it's actually soaking the wood back here, which isn't a big deal because it's not wood that I'm going to be burning right now anyway. Then over here, this stack over here and this stack here is all old barnwood. There's my neighbor. He had a barn that he tore down and said that I could use the wood. So I have all this barnwood, and it is hardwood, so I can burn it, but I didn't really want to burn it inside because there's a ton of nails and stuff in it. So I figured, what other purpose could I have for this wood? That is my daughter's bus stop. I'll show you that in a second. All built by recycled barnwood that I got for free. So found that to be rather convenient during the time that I was building these, that I was able to get that wood to build that. This can hold, you can see there, if I get in closer, you have 1, 2, 3, basically 4 rows of face cord, basically 4 face cords. So what you're looking at is, it's about, actually that's in there is probably about 6 foot high. With the very front, if you were to fill the very front of it, would be closer to 7 foot high, and then it is a 8 foot long. So you're looking at basically bigger than face cords. So it holds a decent amount of wood. It's from what I've found so far, I have not gone through a full shed in one season. So by having 2, if they're full, would be 2 seasons, kind of gives me a better idea as to how much I'm going to need. Now with this wood shed, the second one, I finally was able to get a nail gun. So I have a pass load industrial nail gun like I used when I was framing houses. So that went a lot faster. As you can see, these are all nails. Went about twice as fast building this one as it did the first one. Again, I used the same brackets all the way down, and I still use screws for them because it's really hard to line those up right with nails. So that is basically how the wood sheds are built. They do let in a lot of air while keeping out the weather. I found this to be the best so far. Like I said, there weren't a lot of YouTube videos on wood sheds, mostly because a lot of people, you know, either live in the south or live in the city and don't burn wood in the winter. So there probably isn't a whole lot of need for it. Anyway, next is on to the bus stop. So this is all built out of recycled barnwood, except for the front here where I had to frame in the door, and you can obviously see there's a difference in the color of the wood. Again, I used the same metal sheeting, which, by the way, this was the last of it, so it's all out now. And then this one is solid. It's not alternating by any means, because this, I don't want wind in. I want this to be warm and dry. So I have those brackets there. And when I built this the first time, I didn't put those in. I just nailed the roof, you know, onto the walls. And then we had, oh, and this is also before I had a door framed in. So this here was all wide open. It was just the front. And wind, let me open this here without breaking the door. Wind came in and blew the whole thing back, landed on its side, and the roof ripped right off of it. It destroyed enough of the wood to where I just ended up getting new wood for doing the roof, which is why it's a different color and newer. So, and then also now I have cinder blocks in here to keep it from going anywhere. But this is basically all it is. Stays dry, everything stays warm, and well, not warm, stays dry in here at least. You're out of the breeze, you're out of the rain, you're out of the weather, and seems to do the job. And I figured for the price of what I went through and a couple of nails, worked out pretty well. I built the floor the same way. I did make gaps in the floor along with the wood sheds so that any rain that does come in or anything that gets wet, it can go right through, dirt, whatever, and it doesn't just sit in there and pool and start warping the wood. And then this door I got for free. So the only cost I had was the nails and the wood when I had to rebuild the roof. So that is about it for the wood sheds. I know it's kind of a short video, but because nobody else has any woodshed videos out there that I could even use to help me build my wood sheds, I decided to make one. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was entertaining for you. I hope it was informational for you. So if you are going to build your own, this is what I've found to work fairly well. All right, so we are inside the garage. I did want to show you this real quick as well. So the wood outside you can see is in the sheds, and it stays dry for the most part, but when we do get rain or snow or ice and then it melts, it does occasionally get wet. So kind of the system that I found is that out there is where I store all of the wood. It's where I cut it and split it and all that. But then in here, I have two wood racks, basically. They're both face cord racks, so they're 4 foot by 4 foot tall, 8 foot long. Or sorry, they're 4 foot tall, 4 foot long. Anyway, so I bring the wood in here and I fill both racks. I use the bed of my truck and fill both racks. And then I use that heater and I dry it. So if it was wet for some reason, I use that to dry it. If it wasn't wet, I'll use it to thaw it before I bring it into the house. So that is basically my system. I bring it in, I let it sit in here, and then I have a 5-gallon bucket that I'll show you in a minute, and that's what I use to bring it back in and out of the house. I do have 2 buckets that I use for the ash. So the silver one, I basically go through 2 racks, makes 1 silver bucket of ash. So it works out pretty well that way, and then I dump it out in the trees when I refill the racks again. And then the black one is what I use to actually empty the fireplace. Alright, so now we're inside the house, and we had this stone hearth built, and I don't do stone work, so that was done for us, along with the install of the stove itself. So then in here, I'm going to show you, this is the rack that I just keep the wood in that we're going to burn next to the fireplace, but most of it is held out in the garage. And then over here we have the vacuum that I use for vacuuming around and keeping the hearth clean and the floor around it clean. Those are the tools. There's not much to them. Up here, the big pot is actually full of water, and that helps with humidity when we are burning. This little guy here is really cool, and when the stove heats up, this heats up and it creates its own, from the heat, electricity to spin the fan. So it starts blowing the warm air away from the pipe without any type of batteries or anything like that, which is nice. And then you can see up here we have our gauge, so we know how hot we're getting it. We know that we're getting it hot enough to not have a creosote buildup, but not too hot to where we end up with a chimney fire of any kind. And then we have vaulted ceilings in here, so that goes up pretty far, and then through the ceiling into the attic, and then out through the roof. So this is Jared signing off. If you guys like the videos, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and there'll be more coming to you. I hope you're enjoying my channel. You guys have a good day.